What are the three things you like about MMI?
The repeated process of them testing, so that it also ensures that I am regular with my studies.
So what is weighted average cost of capital?
You assign weights to how much equity and how much debt there is.
Do you think all companies in the same industry have similar valuations?
We use peer values to judge if a company is overvalued in its industry.
So Swiggy is quite undervalued compared to Zomato. Why is that? You self-published the book. How many copies did it sell?
It sold 11 copies, but the goal was to just have a compilation of all the work I have done.
That's very good.
Hello Srinjay, can you tell us something about yourself?
Sure. So I was born in Kolkata, and at the age of 6, my family relocated to Mumbai. I've been brought up in Mumbai. I did my schooling from Delhi Public School, Nerol, and in my 12th standard, I served as the house captain. Thereafter, did my BSc in finance from NMIMS Mumbai, and in the third year, I served as the class representative.
What are the three things you like about NMIMS? Since you want to do an MBA also from NMIMS, what are the three things you love about NMIMS?
So the first thing is their testing pattern. They have a system called ICAs, which is internal continuous assessments, wherein throughout the semester there will be quiz, caselets, class discussions, presentations, and even projects which are graded in addition to the term end examination, and there is an equal weightage. So 50% for the term end and 50% for
You
the
like
ICAs.
taking exams?
No, I like the repeated process of them testing, so that it also ensures that I am regular with my studies. It acts as a check on me. And then their curriculum was designed to suit the experience that some people might need in the corporate world. We did a lot of case studies. We did a lot of real life modeling, business valuation, portfolio management. So we did a lot of stuff which I may not have learned without NMIMS. And the third thing being, I got access to a very, very talented peer group, and I realized that how much more there is to know than what I already do. So that acted as a check both on my sense of what I know, and also on the scope that I should not stop learning just because I've come to college.
Okay, so you mentioned you have done business valuation. So what are the different methods of business valuation?
We have the discounted cash flow approach. We have the we have the peer group valuation approach, wherein we take earning enterprise value multiples of companies, and we have.
Do you think all companies in the same industry have similar valuations or similar multiples?
No.
But you just said you use peer value multiples.
We use peer values to judge if a company is overvalued in its industry.
Yeah, in the same industry. So Swiggy is quite undervalued compared to Zomato. Why is that?
I'm not really sure about it.
Correct. And what are the other methods?
We have FCFF, which is free cash flow to firm, free cash flow to equity, FCFE.
In case of Swiggy, which method do you use?
Not really sure.
Okay. Any company that you have under your project or under your subject that you have done the valuation for?
There was a project of financial modeling wherein we could choose some companies and see if their valuation was correct.
So which company did you choose?
So my group went with Jindal Stainless, but I did not participate in the valuation part. I was doing the market research, the economy, industry and company analysis. So I was more focusing on that aspect.
Is that the right way to do a project?
In hindsight, no, that was not. But the situation was such in that time that one person in our group had to take charge of the entire project and get it done, because there were multiple projects around the same deadlines. So I took charge of another project and got that done on my own, and that's how we ended the semester.
So you didn't learn much in that project?
There were less takeaways for me in that project, yes.
So what is weighted average cost of capital?
Weighted average cost of capital is basically the you assign weights to how much equity and how much debt there is in your company and the cost of procurement of that capital.
In current times, what do you think should be the cost of debt that you should count?
I don't have
Just a rough number.
7.5%.
So what is happening in share market these days? Why is it falling so much?
So very recently, the fall could be because of the fear of the new virus that is emerging, which could, people could anticipate a situation similar to the COVID-19 pandemic.
No, but the market has been falling for last 3-4 months.
Right, yes. I'm not really aware of what's been happening in the last 3-4 months.
You follow stock market?
Very superficially.
Which is your favorite subject?
I really enjoy the subject of business analytics and principles of marketing.
Of marketing. What are the 4 P's of
Market? So price, promotion, product, and place.
and 7 P's of services?
7. Okay, we have the same 4 P's and then process, people, and physical evidence.
So what is the difference between call option and a put option?
Okay, these two are from the derivative markets of options, and call option is when the option buyer has the choice to sell.
Call option is an option buyer to sell.
No, the option buyer has the right to exercise the option to buy the stock at the
Let's not go into bookish definition. Suppose you think the stock market will go up in the next 3 months.
Right.
Would you buy a call option or would you buy a put option?
If I expect the market to go up, I'll buy a call option.
And if you think that the market is going to be in the same range bound,
Right.
what strategies can you use using both call and put options?
Sorry, sir, I don't have an idea of option strategies.
So what do you do during your leisure time?
So during my leisure time, I love writing poetry, English poetry, and I've also self-published a book titled Random Thoughts, which is a collection of 51 of my poems that I've written. And I also love
What's a
watching
sonnet?
cricket. So a sonnet is a writing style made popular by Shakespeare. It contains 14 lines, wherein there's a strict rhyming scheme, wherein the first stanza will have a rhyming scheme of AB, AB. The second stanza will have a rhyming scheme of CD, CD. The third stanza will have a rhyming scheme of EF, EF. And the last 2 lines will be GG.
Okay. You self-published the book. How many copies did it sell?
It sold 11 copies. But the goal was to just have a compilation of all the work I have done.
That's very late.
Thank you.
So what's your career goal?
So I see myself, just immediately after my MBA, I see myself as a financial analyst in the field of corporate finance.
Okay. What do you think is corporate finance?
So in corporate finance, we basically talk about the cost of sourcing our debt, the cost of sourcing our equity. We talk about the different valuation approaches. We talk about the growth opportunities that any company has, the mergers and acquisitions it can make.
Tell me one experience of working in groups where your group failed miserably, and if you can tell me the reasons why such a thing happened.
During our 6th semester, we had a project of in financial planning and wealth management, wherein we had to build a portfolio for a client facing a hypothetical scenario. And this said client was a visiting faculty, and we asked our teachers or whoever we could contact what is an average salary that a visiting faculty can make, and we got an estimate. However, we interpreted it in a wrong way because visiting faculties get paid by per hour, not a fixed salary every month, and we use that as basis for calculating the future income and the allocation of the portfolio. So that was a complete mismatch from what the actual output was supposed to be.
Okay, so yeah, interview is over. You can relax. Okay. Now we'll begin with the feedback. So how do you think it went?
It went not not at all as what I had expected, because I need to work on my conceptual understanding.
Fair enough. But before we get into any other point, one definite feedback is that you have to bring in more energy to table.
Okay.
See, realize that you'll be sitting in a B school interview, B school admission interview, and just imagine the kind of change it will bring to your career, whether you get in vis-a-vis someone who doesn't get in, right? It will completely take your entire career into a different trajectory.
Okay.
Aren't you excited about it?
Yeah. Yes, I am. I am. Yeah.
So, unless you appear eager to get in, it will be a problem
Okay.
in the interview.
Okay.
Because it should not appear that you are not interested.
Okay.
So, definitely you have to bring in more energy, more enthusiasm to tell.
Okay.
Then, in the first question, when we ask you to introduce yourself, now later on that question on poetry came up, that collection of book, book on collection of poetry that came up. But it should have been mentioned right in the introduction.
Yes. It's a good
Yes.
highlight point of your profile. So you should have mentioned it.
At the beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
So how many students do you think have published their own book?
Not many. Not too many.
Right? So this is something that stands out on your profile.
Yes.
Instead of that, you talked about you're born and brought up in Kolkata. At the age of 6, your family moved from Kolkata to Mumbai. Are they going to select you because your family moved from Kolkata to Mumbai at
No.
the age of 6? No. So why mention those irrelevant points
Right.
when you have something really interesting to talk about?
Okay.
And see, I gave you a very good opening when I told you're already from NMIMS and we are playing this to be an NMIMS interview. So it was, I am giving you an opportunity to hit a 6 and you just took one run out of it, a single out of it. So you could have said, I love NMIMS. That excitement was nowhere there. It's like you're talking about any random college. So this continuation will happen for very few students. So you should, like he correctly mentioned, Girish correctly mentioned, the energy was missing there completely. And see, one very nuanced point. You should say we, right? Because I'm taking you to be part of NMIMS already. So you are saying they should say, sir, we, I, us, so establish yourself to be a part of NMIMS already. Because I gave you that opportunity as a panelist, you should have, taken that advantage completely. Okay, and honestly for me, I don't know if Girish sir agrees, but exam pattern answer did not really gel well,
Okay.
so you could have used some other points. NMIMS is mainly known for its infrastructure, so you could have, there was no mention of infrastructure. So you could have maybe some thought on why you like NMIMS.
Okay.
Could have been better. Curriculum part work, that your peer group also worked. But at least exam pattern didn't really work for me. I don't know if it worked for him. Did it work
See,
for you?
that way, every institute has its own exam and evaluation pattern. So what's the big deal about exam pattern in NMIMS?
Yeah. And when I asked you about projects, you started saying that okay, because we could not manage so many projects well, so I didn't do my part well. So that didn't really match.
Right.
And especially if there's a professor from finance background sitting in the panel, they will ask you, they can ask you really deep questions, in-depth questions on different business valuation methods and other concepts in finance. Like call option and put option.
Yes.
So if you have done that NCFM
NISM, equity derivatives.
on equity derivatives, and if you stumble on that answer, if you struggle with that answer, that is a very basic.
Yes.
It shouldn't happen.
So your concepts, fundamental concepts need to be revised. So business valuations, you are mentioning a company, right? Jindal Stainless. So you cannot say that I didn't do this part. You better go home, go through your project. If required, go beyond the project you have done, but give a better answer. And never say I didn't do this part at all, because finally the project carries your name. Right. So you can't say my batchmate did this and I did that. That part has to be completely changed in your actual interview. For the audience, you have to remember that this interview is happening in the month of Jan, so a lot of things will change from now till the time he appears for his actual interview. What other things do you think worked well for you in the interview?
Worked well. What I thought was the poetry point. I wanted to bring it up in the introduction, but I missed it. So, but that point worked out in the end. That me publishing a book worked out in that.
So, and one other point, you have done certification on technical analysis, that's fine. But my suggestion is don't mention it in a B school interview.
Okay.
Because usually B school professors don't like technical analysis.
Okay.
Because anyone can do technical analysis. But when you go to B school, they'll teach you enough concepts and enough skills to be able to perform fundamental analysis.
Okay.
Technical analysis can be done even by a 10th standard student. It doesn't matter. Now, if they, having said that, if they ask you questions on technical analysis, then that's fine.
Okay.
But on your own, don't mention.
Okay. Sure.
And also one last point, your academic profile is also very good, 10th score, 12th score, and even your graduation score. So nowhere in your interview have you mentioned your stellar academic achievements actually. So that should have been highlighted. So like he mentioned, Navi Mumbai, all those things you can cut out. So your 10-word answer has to completely change. So maybe think in terms of what are the 3 things or 4 things I would want the interview panel to know, and just focus on those 3-4 things. The interview will work fine. So maybe BSc Finance is obviously one thing, ACADS is the second thing, maybe your book on poems is the third thing. So these 3 things I can clearly see that you can talk about it.
Okay.
And then in finance, you expect an in-depth drilling happening because your course is BSc Finance. So I think you should devote a lot of time to revising your concepts again.
Sure.
Okay. So
Okay.
study well.
All
Thank
the
you.
best.
Crack
Thank
your
you.
interview. All the
Thank you.
best.
All the best.